to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to hear me working with a gentleman from the States, I believe near the Chicago area, that got in contact with me based on my reputation and knowledge working with lots of phobics. One of my brands is Phobia Guru. You can find out more information on phobiaguru.com, for example. His specific fear, his specific phobia, was a fear of driving in open spaces. So he would be fine on smaller roads, but if he got onto a highway or a freeway where there was multiple lanes and lots of kind of open spaces, he would then get very, very anxious in that environment. And it meant that there were just certain roads and routes that he couldn't go on. And logically and intellectually, it didn't make any sense. And when I was communicating with him before we did the hypnosis, I was kind of explaining, well, yes, it doesn't make intellectual sense, but from an emotional level, there is a part of your subconscious mind that is trying to protect you, that is linking this kind of big open spaces with some kind of danger. And quite often he said, yeah, these big open spaces, he can't really see the edge of the road. Sometimes they're quite high up. So there was a feeling of anxiety. And also he did share with me that quite often if he would be near a ledge or a balcony, he would make a very quick image in his mind of jumping off or falling off, and then that would create a lot of anxiety. So I know it was an internal thing rather than the actual danger of the experience. So you hear me working with him on that session. This is going to be useful for anyone that has a anxiety of being in open spaces, or anxiety of driving, or anxiety of being near high places with ledges and things like that. So a good session, it uses parts therapy, which is based on the concept of different parts of the unconscious mind. So it's going to be a very useful session for anyone that wants to reduce their anxiety of anything similar to that. So there'll be a minute or so of relaxing music before the hypnosis begins. So find somewhere comfortable, ideally listen on headphones, just relax and enjoy the session. So all I want you to do, take a nice deep breath in, and then on the out breath, close your eyes. And I want you to use the power of your imagination so that as you breathe in, just imagine that you're breathing in a sensation of relaxation. Breathing in relaxation and breathing out tension. And I want you to imagine that in the same way that when you breathe oxygen, that oxygen goes through your nose, down your windpipe, fills your lungs, and miraculously your body has the ability to take oxygen from the air that you breathe and distribute that to every single cell in your body. And I want you to imagine that this warm feeling of relaxation has a colour, maybe a bright, vibrant or warm colour. And as you imagine breathing in that warm colour in through your nose, down your windpipe, filling your lungs with that feeling of relaxation, I want you to imagine that your heart has the ability to do what it does with oxygen, to extract that feeling of relaxation and to distribute it to every cell in your body. Now sometimes when you're doing exercise or thinking in a certain way, sometimes parts of your body needs more oxygen than other parts. And right now there might be certain parts of your body that require more of this feeling of relaxation than other parts. And I want you to imagine that your body knows exactly which parts need more relaxation. And normally the clue is that they are holding on to more tension than other parts. For some people, there is more tension in their neck and their shoulders, or in the muscles around the eyes, and there might be less in fingers or toes. And as you scan your body to detect where tension is, I want you to imagine that you're somewhere else. I want you to imagine that you are in a large country house, very far away, perhaps in a different country, perhaps even in Scotland. And ordinarily, you may have been in this house with other people, but I want you to imagine that you're in this house on your own. It's a sunny day, and perhaps you're in the garden area or outdoors, and you're breathing in that fresh, clean air, getting a sensation of the warmth of the sunshine on your skin. And I want you to imagine somewhere outside is the most comfortable chair that you've ever seen, either that you've owned, or even if you've just been in this chair for just a few minutes. But I want you to imagine that that comfortable chair is outdoors with an incredible view. And I want you to imagine taking a seat in that comfortable chair outdoors, feeling the warmth of the sunshine on your skin. And as you breathe in, I want you to imagine that you're breathing in a sense of tranquility and relaxation in that warm color, and that your heart is distributing it to every cell in your body that needs that relaxation right now. And as you imagine resting in this comfortable chair, I want you to focus on the tiny muscles in your eyelids and around your eyes. As you breathe in that feeling of relaxation, imagine that color is being distributed to those muscles in your eyelids, around your eyebrows, around your eyes. Increase the tension temporarily in those muscles. And then as you breathe out, release and let go of all that tension. That's right. I want you to now focus on the muscles in your forehead. Really pay attention to those muscles in your forehead, the same muscles that you would unconsciously use to communicate expressions like curiosity, intrigue. Become aware of those muscles, increase the tension, and then as you breathe out, release that tension. That's it. And now focus in the muscles in your jaw. There are some people that exist that have so much tension in their jaw that when they sleep, they grind their teeth. Now for you, there's nowhere near that level of tension, but there might be a fraction of that tension. And as you breathe in that warm feeling of relaxation, as you feel the warmth of the sun on your skin, just imagine it's melting away any and all tension in and around the jaw, taking you deeper and deeper relaxed. That's right. I want you to imagine you're in this comfortable chair in the countryside, breathing fresh air, feeling the sunshine on your skin. And now focus on the muscles in your neck and your shoulders. And I want you to use the power of visualization to picture any and all tension in your neck and shoulders being like crystals or shards of ice. And at least once in your life, you've seen what it's like to leave an ice cube outside in hot sunshine, knowing that it just slowly but surely melts away. And as you picture any and all tension around your neck and your shoulders as crystals of ice, I want you to imagine as you breathe in that warm feeling of relaxation, and you also imagine the warmth of the Scottish sun on your skin. Just imagine that it's melting slowly but surely any and all tension around your neck and your shoulders, taking you deeper and deeper and deeper relaxed. That's right. Allowing that relaxation to spread all the way down your arms, right down to the tips of your fingers. As you breathe in that feeling of relaxation, imagine your lungs filling with this warm color of relaxation. And it's starting to relax even internal organs. Your heart is relaxing. Your lungs are relaxing. Your stomach's relaxing. Your diaphragm's relaxing. Even your gut is relaxing. And that relaxation goes all the way down into your legs, all the way down, deep down, right down into the tips of your toes. And I want you to imagine that something strange is about to happen. I want you to imagine what it would be like to imagine falling asleep in that chair in the countryside in Scotland. And as I count down from 5 to 1, I want you to imagine what it would be like to fall asleep and then see yourself in a dream seeing you asleep in that chair. 5, relaxing. 4, feeling like you might yawn. 3, getting deeper and deeper relaxed. 2, 1. And imagine you can now see yourself in that same chair, looking around, perhaps seeing that big country house, seeing the greenness of the landscape, the blueness of the sky. But imagine that the conscious part of your mind is asleep in that chair. And I want you to walk to a part where you've got the perfect view of the sky. And perhaps it's a blue sky with just a few fluffy white clouds. And I want you to imagine what it would be like for those fluffy white clouds to actually make a word in the sky made of fluffy white clouds. And that word is relax, R-E-L-A-X, relax. Now this is an unusual thing. Why would clouds be spelling out a word in the sky? And that activates the logical, critical, analytical part of your mind to wonder why clouds are spelling out words in the sky, relax. But each and every time you read the word relax, you feel more deeply relaxed. Even if you were to spell the word R-E-L-A-X, you feel relaxed. And then that word changes to a number, and that number, made of fluffy white clouds in the sky, is 998, made of fluffy white clouds in the sky. The logical, analytical part of your mind, again, is bemused, befuddled, bewildered as to how it can be that fluffy white clouds are now a number in the sky, and that number starts to count downwards. 998 becomes 997, stays there for a few moments, descends again to 996, and it occurs to the logical, analytical part of your mind that this cloud is now a giant countdown timer, counting down one by one by one. And I want you to allow the logical, analytical part of your mind to keep counting down the clouds in the sky. But there is another part of your unconscious mind that wants change, a part that has felt anxiety, vigilance when driving and doesn't want to feel that anymore. That part will continue to walk away. And as you walk away, you can turn around and see the logical, analytical part counting giant clouds in the sky downwards by numbers, and you can also see a conscious part fast asleep on a very comfortable chair in Scottish countryside. But the part that wants change walks away, breathing in that fresh Scottish air, feeling the warmth of the Scottish sun on your skin, feeling relaxed and completely tranquil. And somewhere nearby is going to be a wooden cabin. It's modern, it's well built, it looks safe. And I want you to approach that wooden cabin. And I want you to know that inside that wooden cabin is the part responsible for these reckless thoughts. Every now and then there would be thoughts about things that you would never do, but have popped into your head anyway. And the part of your unconscious is a different part that is normally in control, and that part will be in the cabin. This part would have been created normally at a significant point in your life. This part of your unconscious is just a part of your unconscious, but we can imagine what that part would look like or could look like if it had a physical form. In the same way that if I said, imagine meeting a childlike part of your unconscious mind, you might imagine a small child. And if I said, imagine the adventurous part of your unconscious mind, you might imagine a hero. This part will also have the ability to have a physical form. And I want you to walk to the door of the cabin, knowing that inside that cabin is the part responsible for these reckless thoughts. These parts which have caused the reckless thoughts, which then created the anxiety that impedes your ability to just drive in the normal way that you would want. I want you to imagine that you're holding the key to the cabin door, and you're in front of that wooden cabin door, and you can see the material it's made from. You're outside, knowing that the part responsible for these thoughts is inside. And I'll count down from 5 to 1, and when I reach 1, you will enter the cabin, and you will walk to one corner of the cabin, knowing that on the opposite corner will be the part responsible for these reckless thoughts. Starting to count 5, putting the key in the door. 4, rotating the key. 3, hearing the click to signify that the cabin door is now open. 2, pulling the cabin door open. 1, walking through the cabin door. 0, closing the cabin door behind you. As you walk to one corner, you're able to see on the opposite corner a part of your unconscious mind represented by something physical. This might be human, this might be a cartoon character, this might be something that has a physical form and possibly a face. And if you can see that part on the opposite side, just let me know by nodding your head. That's right. And all I want you to do is to make eye contact, if possible, with that part, and recognize that you appreciate and detect its presence. In the same way that you would if you walked into any room and saw another person there. You wouldn't necessarily need to communicate them, but you might make eye contact and signify that you're aware of their presence. And as you do that, I want you to detect their reaction to you being aware of their presence. Because perhaps they're neutral, or perhaps they're defensive. And even though you might be feeling relaxed, you can still talk, and you can still describe what you see. And I want you to describe very briefly what it kind of looks like in that part on the opposite side of the corner.
Looks like a younger me, mid-20s, neutral, the expression is neutral.
And all I want you to do is I want you to, as strange as it may sound, express your gratitude to that part for an intention that you don't quite know what it is yet. I want you to make eye contact with that part, and you can communicate not necessarily verbally but through thoughts. It's just another part of your unconscious mind. Communicate with that part that you're grateful for the positive intention, that you know that they are trying to do something positive for you, and even though you're not sure quite what that is yet, you're grateful that they have a positive intention. And as you communicate that, allow it to be received in the same way that you intend it to be received, which is a genuine form of gratitude, and that you have absolute appreciation, not for the result, but for the intention. And let me know its response to that positive intention. Still neutral. At this point, you've communicated that you appreciate it's trying to do something positive for you. But now what I want you to do is I want you to communicate, and again, you can do that in your own language through thoughts. Just imagine you're having a conversation with that part, and I want you to communicate all of the consequences, all of the problems, all of the issues that have directly been caused by these very brief occasional thoughts that occasionally you've given credence to, that have created a feeling of anxiety. And I want you to describe that anxiety, describe how it makes you feel, describe how it's made other people perceive you or you perceive yourself. All of the things that make this something unwanted, undesirable, detrimental. Describe that to that part. And as you do so, be very genuine, authentic, and sincere. You're not making it worse than it is, but you're not downplaying it either. Communicate to that part exactly as it is, and more importantly, how it's impacting your life. And I want you again to kind of look at the expression of that mid-20s version of you on the opposite side. And it may be, quite possibly be, that this part had no idea that it was having this kind of an impact. And if that's the case, let me know by nodding your head. That's right. Because if it did have an idea of it causing this level of distress and inconvenience and impact, it probably would never do it. In the same way that maybe as a child, as a teenager, maybe even in your early 20s, you may have played the occasional prank, the occasional joke. And it may be that your intention was just to do something that you thought was funny. But every now and then, perhaps you may have scared someone or shocked someone or caused some kind of offense or pain. And it may be that this part has no intention to do these thoughts. Maybe in the same way that as a child might show another child a spider, especially if they think they're afraid of bugs and creatures, because they think it's funny to scare them. Now, we don't know what the actual intention is of this different part, but I want you to ask the question, and it may be that in the same way that sometimes children just do things and don't really know why they do things, it may be that this mid-20s version of you doesn't really know the intention, but equally it might know the intention. And I want you to ask the intention now and to see if that part knows why it's been coming up with these reckless thoughts. If it can give you a reason, let me know. If not, yeah. And a large part of what the unconscious mind is doing is trying to protect. If you think of how complex driving is, it's not possible for every part of your conscious mind to be aware of every single possible variable. They've tried to program robots to actually drive cars, and some cars like a Tesla, for example, is reasonably good, but they've invested incredible amounts of money trying to do what a human can do without thinking about it. And it must occur to you at some level that your unconscious mind is there to protect in many different ways. If, for example, you're daydreaming while driving and then maybe the car in front slams on the brakes, within a second you can go from unconscious to conscious very, very quickly. I want you to imagine that this unconscious part perhaps is trying to protect. Even if you don't know why or how, but I want you to, again, to express that gratitude for the intention of protection. And as you do so, again, notice that how that is received. The part has not been intending to cause distress or disruption or inconvenience, but it feels validated that you appreciate the positive intention of protection. I want you to ask that part if it's okay if I communicate directly with that part. Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to imagine switching perspective so you can leave that part in the corner, and I want you to jump into the part that has been trying to protect you, even if you don't know why. And when you feel like you've taken possession of that mid-20s version of you, that younger version of you, just let me know by nodding your head. That's right. I would like to echo Andy's thoughts of gratitude. I know that you've had this positive intention even before we asked for that positive intention, because you, like any other part of the unconscious mind, have a desire to do something good. And it's also the case, I believe, that you had no idea of the negative consequences of your positive intention. You didn't know that it would cause so much distress, disruption, anxiety. And if that's the case, that you had no idea, just let me know by nodding your head. And even though you're not sure how you're protecting, I do believe that you are trying to protect. And I would like to propose a win-win situation where you still get to protect, but you get to protect in a way that doesn't have these negative consequences. One of the most effective ways of protecting is to anticipate the future. In the same way that if you're planning a route, you might anticipate what kind of things you might need. If it was the case that you're driving in particularly cold weather, you might anticipate by ensuring that there is warm clothing in the back. You might anticipate in many different ways. But by anticipating future events to help prepare is a positive way in which you can also protect. One of the things that is possible is that it is possible for anyone to imagine falling asleep at the wheel. That can happen if people are stressed or nervous, and sometimes it's useful to make a quick picture. Imagine what it would be like if someone did fall asleep at the wheel, and in fact, imagining that can give a boost of adrenaline, just enough to make sure that that person doesn't fall asleep. I want you to use your abilities to protect, but protect in a way that doesn't create severe anxiety. The right balance here would be evaluating probabilities. Things that are very unlikely, you don't need to prepare that much for. Things that are highly likely, you might have more of an element of preparation. Now, what you have been doing is entertaining the idea of reckless behaviour, or at least something that is being perceived to be reckless, even if that is not your intention. Now, if your intention is to consider reckless behaviour, just let me know by nodding your head. Okay, which means that your intention was something else, but it's being perceived to be reckless behaviour. Now, I want you to be able to think of different thoughts that better communicate the true intention behind those thoughts. Now, it might be that you are entertaining the idea of something to be avoided. Is that the case? What is the intention behind those thoughts? Okay, I want to suggest something that may be an intention, given that your motive is protection. Sometimes, if you think of a bodyguard, which has the duty, the responsibility to protect, sometimes they think about things that they don't want. They think of threats and they think of undesirable outcomes to help them stay vigilant and prepare for those undesirable outcomes. Is it the case that occasionally you've been thinking of undesirable things, not because you want them to happen, but because you don't want them to happen? That's right. And I want to suggest a compromise here, that the consequence of considering undesirable future events means that they've been perceived to be a motivation to do those undesirable things, which was never your intention. Your intention has only and always been to protect. Therefore, you can protect by entertaining the idea of the most responsible, desirable outcomes and behaviour. And any problems that come to mind, you will immediately think of solutions and ways to respond to whatever's happening. For example, if there is extreme weather, you might not have the idea of something negative happening, but the idea of how you can best handle that extreme weather. And if that makes sense, that you will now suggest ideas about what can be done rather than what must be avoided, let me know by nodding your head. That's right. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to accept that this is having a ripple effect to all different parts of the conscious and subconscious mind. That because you had never the intention to cause distress or anxiety, only to help and protect, you will now help and protect by focusing on solutions rather than problems. As a child, or as someone with low levels of responsibility, the adults around you are not expecting you to solve the problems. Just to point them out is enough. But now you have more experience, you have more intelligence, you have more wisdom. So now you can process those likely undesirable outcomes, and those which are even remotely feasible, you can suggest an idea within a split second of something useful and positive that can be done. That will still enable you to protect, but without causing distress to any other part of the unconscious mind. And if you accept this increased responsibility, but with a new way of executing and exercising that responsibility, let me know by nodding your head. That's right. You take a deep breath in, release that breath, and then switch perspective back to the other part that wanted change. And if you can now see that part that was responsible for thinking about things that wanted you to avoid, I want you to notice that that part is now changing in terms of its look and its posture. It's evolving slightly because it now has a different responsibility and a different way of doing that responsibility. And if that other part is changing in some way, I want you to just briefly describe how it's changing. Yeah, and what size has it shrunk to?
Very small.
And the reason for this is perhaps because for most people that drive, the part responsible for thinking about how to drive in a responsible way and how to solve problems has a very, very minor but important impact on their ability to drive. Whereas if there is a part that is highlighting what can go wrong, that actually has a more significant role to play in the experience of driving. So as you see that part shrink in size, I also want you to appreciate that it's going to shrink in terms of the impact it can possibly have on your driving. It can help in a small amount by giving you things that you can do and respond to whatever's happening, but there is going to have less impact on your ability to drive. And if that's accepted by your unconscious mind, let me know by nodding your head. That's right. And as you entered the cabin alone, I want you to leave alongside this smaller part. And I don't know if it's so small that you can pick it up and put it in your hand or your pocket, or if it's more like a toddler or a small child walking out of the cabin hand in hand. But just know that you're walking out in collaboration, whereas before there were two different parts that just had a communication issue, that actually both parts wanted the same thing, but you were interpreting that positive intention in a very negative, scary, detrimental way. You leave the cabin together. That's right. And I want you to know that you are able to trust this part, because now that you genuinely believe it has positive intentions and that it will deliver those positive intentions in a way that's usable and easier to make good decisions based on what to do rather than what to avoid, I want you to feel that that part is integrating inside you, so that the two different parts are now one, and you trust that part will help you to become a better driver. I want you to walk towards another part of you. You're reminded that there is a person that looks exactly like you, counting clouds in the sky, a different number in the sky. And I want you to appreciate that this logical, analytical part has been distracted all this time, but we need the logical, analytical part now also to be integrated. And I want you to walk inside that version so that, again, a fragmented part is now working in synergy. Because you will need the logical, analytical part to really challenge any thought that pops into your head. For example, just because you think something doesn't mean it's true. Because you've thought of incredible things in the past. You've had ideas, you've had fantasies, you've had ridiculous ideas. And just because you thought them, you didn't believe they were true, and you didn't believe they were a prophecy, that they were going to happen in the future. So sometimes the logical and analytical part can just be there as a safety net, a check, just to remind you that thoughts sometimes are just thoughts. And if your unconscious mind accepts that the logical analytical part can occasionally remind you that thoughts are thoughts and don't need to be taken as seriously as you have been taking them, just let me know by nodding your head. That's right. And now all parts are integrated with one final part remaining, and that is that there is a part that represents your fully wide awake conscious part, looking very relaxed in a very comfortable chair in the Scottish countryside. And I want you to imagine climbing into that version of you so you feel all relaxed again. You're inside that body where you're feeling relaxed, you're feeling comfortable, you're breathing in that clean, crisp air, feeling completely relaxed. And I want you to imagine getting up out of that chair, looking at the incredible countryside around you. I want you to get a feeling that something significant has shifted, that you've connected with a part that you weren't communicating with before. And all that has been happening is an internal game of Chinese whispers, where because things weren't communicated directly, something got lost in translation, and a part that was trying to help, you were perceiving to be reckless and cause you danger. And now, the twist in the story is that that part was never trying to cause danger at all. It was just trying to help you prepare by putting thoughts in your mind of what to avoid. But going forward, that part will give you thoughts about solutions or what to do. You'll be working synergistically with all parts, and you will feel that when you drive, it's very much like it was when you drove all those years before. You can drive enjoying driving, trusting your unconscious mind that it is acting in your interest. You've got the ability to consider all the different ways in which you drive and choose the best one. You could choose to drive recklessly, but why would you? You could choose to endanger your life and the life of others, but why would you? And by trusting your unconscious mind to drive in the way that you would want to drive, enables you to just focus on the scenery, focus on driving and enjoying that driving, and trusting that your unconscious mind will steer your attention to things you need to be aware of, if you need to be aware of it. And if you accept those suggestions, let me know by nodding your head. And now, I will count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. You will awaken fully alert, fully in the moment, with a new sense of integration and collaboration, working in conjunction with all parts to enable you to think less when driving, but enjoy driving more, trusting that your unconscious mind will direct your attention to anything you need to be aware of at the point you need to be aware of it. You will awaken fully alert in this room with all parts, fully integrated, alert and awake in this moment. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.